it over. Call the promoters. I just put up in this thing with my soldiers. I blew it and I'm still. Last minute I'ma need me some. Call up Khalifa. Bring them in the. You know I stay with some bad little baby. TGOD baby, know that's a gang gang. Crazy girls after the game. We going honest, we going insane. Pouring this. Dead homies got me pouring this. We get awards where we give God the glory. I'm shooting my shot and most times I be scoring. Do this for my city, I bring on the trophy. Feel like Freddie Mercury, we the champions. Here in Los Angeles, we doing numbers. Bringing home victory straight out the huddle. I'm at the plug, introduced to my brother. My squad superior, ain't none above us. We doing numbers. Gang in the building, we taking it over.
Feeling like I can't miss. Baby, it's all in the wrist. You really wanna be the boss, it's expensive. Ain't the real champ if you never defend it. Put in that work, I'ma make them remember. I just broke down hella trees, yelling timber. Stand in the line, they put me in the center. It blow their mind when they see how
This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland. Our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy Game. I'm Brandon Gaudin here to take you through the proceedings. And coming up, we're going to tell the story of a man who was truly larger than life and whose impact on the sport of football, certainly it's going to live on for decades and decades to come. Now, we've assembled a couple of rosters featuring some of Coach's favorite players from both yesterday and today. And Coach himself will be on the sidelines for both squads, trying to motivate his guys to victory. And I'm joined now by my good friend Charles Davis. CD, your thoughts on John Madden and what he meant to the sport he loves so much?
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy. He brought that to the game of football, brought the game to so many people. He stayed involved his entire life. And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
One time for old times. What do you say we play some football as we are underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy Game? And no run back here, so they'll bring it out to the 25. So it's the NFC Stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
On first down, Favre. And his first pass is incomplete. So as we mentioned at the top, well, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. And he played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
Now, Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. Was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp, actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And it was there during that time, I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
They'll come to the line here needing 9 yards to pick up the first. Now Favre. Into a double team, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Stephon Gilmore. And he's able to get it back here to the 43-yard line. Not something you see very often from a quarterback of his caliber, an opening drive interception.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that even he's surprised at how that one played out. But we know this guy is not going to stop him from continuing to fire as this game goes along. Probably give a little nod of respect across the field for that one and let him know he'll be back the very next series.
Here's Allen. And if there was a lane there, it closed up quickly as he stopped for no gain. Second down. Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon. Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date for the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, in the NFL were about to go on.
Now some movement before the snap. And we'll hear from our referee for the first time this afternoon. And maybe they were coming with a blitz that time and it caused a jump.
I think if we saw it, you know that they saw it. Might have been a little discussion down there. Bad guys coming, pick them up, pick them up. And someone jumped.
They'll run with Allen. And he's got this down almost to the 20 before he's dropped. 17 yards on the pickup there, and the drive will continue. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times, and he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root, as did the expression commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the Mad Stork himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Matuzak, Otis Sistrunk, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories.
So we're through one at the Coliseum in Oakland. 0-0 our score. This is the John Madden Legacy game on EA Sports. Now play number 7 of this drive, but it's a tough 3rd and 9. On play action, it's Brady. Looking end zone, but it's incomplete.
Oh, that's going to hurt a bit because they needed to come through with a completion there. Now a drive that started with great field position is facing 4th down.
Vinatieri's kick is good. And the AFC on the board first. It's 3-0. So, Charles, they get to them with their first turnover of the game and then make it hurt a little bit extra with a field goal.
And anytime you give the ball up, what's the first thing a coach tells his defense? Don't let them score off of this. You've got to put out the fire. In fact, in 2021, that's what one NFL coach termed his defense, the firemen. Go out there, guys, and don't let them put some points on the board.
And able to get this out to the 25. With the NFC offense coming out here, and you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game. And if it's a game, you should have fun.
And, Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players was telling the coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business. And every time I say it's a business, you say it's a game. With Coach, it was always a game.
Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And, Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out near the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. There might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three Rivers Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And, partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day, and that play should never have counted.
Favre. Man open, it's Kupp. He's got it. And he's out of bounds as he gets this down to the 45. 7 yards there, good enough to move the sticks. On 1st and 10, it's Sanders. This will be stopped about 2 yards shy of the marker. 8-yard gain, 2nd and 2. The CD, we spoke of some of the Raiders' tough playoff losses through the decade of the 70s, but for one shining season, they put it all together, and that was 1976. You remember a 13-1 regular season, a memorable playoff win over New England. They dominated the Steelers 24-7 in the AFC title game, and then a meeting with the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl 11.
Oh, Brandon, what a game that was down at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. A gorgeous 53-degree day, perfect for football. Raiders got out to a 16-0 lead at the half, and Clarence Davis, no relation, although I would certainly claim him, strong on the ground, 137 yards rushing. How about Freddie Biletnikoff, the MVP of that game, catching everything that came his way? Kenny Stabler running the offense with precision, and we all remember the one that sealed it. The grand old man himself, Willie Brown, with the laser-focused eyes, picking off Fran Tarkenton and taking it 75 yards for a touchdown. 32-14 the final score. Raiders have their first Super Bowl title, and we got the iconic shot of Coach Madden being lifted on the shoulder pads of his players and carried aloft as a Super Bowl champ.
First down, a bit of a disaster, and now on 2nd and goal, back even further. To throw is Favre. Completes it to the tight end, Kittle. And they're going to get this down inside the 15.
And let's face it, you can put any Halloween costume on him. You're not going to be able to disguise him because for a tight end of his size, difficult to sneak him anywhere, but that's what they tried to do. Lined up on his right, tried to work his way back to his left, but just a minimal gain as the defense was able to react quickly.
Big play coming here. It's 3rd and goal. Here's Favre to throw. Again to the big tight end, George Kittle. A 4-yard pickup, not enough. 4th down. Now the NFC going to use their third and final timeout as they stop it with 16 seconds to go in half number one. Now Morton Anderson for the field goal try. From the left hash, should be a fairly easy one here. Anderson's kick is good, and that will tie us at 3-3. Well, maybe a nice psychological boost there just to get back to even with that field goal as we head towards half.
Coaching 101 always says at halftime, play it like it's 0-0 on the scoreboard. Well, in this case, it's level, right? Same score each side. Just start over. Now you get the second half to play.
The AFC offense set to take their next drive. And with 10 seconds left, not really enough time to put something together. And defensively, they're just looking to keep him contained as they're able to get him down. And this offense going to elect to burn a timeout with 5 seconds remaining in quarter number 2. The final shot before half for Brady. Over the middle, complete. That's Gonzalez. And he'll be taken. So we are at halftime of the John Madden Legacy game, and now we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley.
What comes to mind when you hear the name Madden? Is it the coach who led the Raiders to their first Super Bowl victory? Perhaps it's the broadcaster who entertained millions of fans. Or maybe it's the video game known simply by his name. But no matter what comes to mind when you hear the name Madden, everyone thinks of one thing: football.
The core of it was football. It's the greatest game in the world. The left goes to the right goes to the left. Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. John Madden goes on the shoulders of his players.
In my mind, John Madden is the most important figure in the history of professional football. Show me somebody else who did it on 3 levels the way John did it. There's nobody.
Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't he?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducted coach of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. And the second half forthcoming from Oakland. The AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right, because Dave Casper, he can shred defenses down the middle of the field. And that's exactly what Tony Gonzalez did in his entire career, a 14-time Pro Bowl selection. Only Tom Brady has more. There are 6 guys in the 15,000-yard receiving club. He's the only tight end in there. Tony Gonzalez, every snap he had to know where he was because he could make plays short, medium, and long, and often put the ball in the end zone.
On 1st and 10, here's Brady. That one caught by Tyreek Hill. And they're going to have this across midfield and inside the 45. And a nice gain of 21 yards. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42. He just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
From the 40 now on 2nd down. Brady. He finds his man, complete. That's Gonzalez. That'll put him at 66 receiving yards now for the game, and he's got a 1st down. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the...
And that is caught for an AFC touchdown. Andre Reed, a 5-yard touchdown. And the AFC has taken the lead. There was no going through the progressions on that touchdown pass.
Yeah, nor was it necessary. His receiver won that route early, presented himself. No reason to wait. Go ahead and put it on him and score a touchdown.
Now Adam Vinatieri for the point after. And it is up. And it's good. That'll make our score 10-3 now. So that lines up a 7-play drive all told. And it ends with an AFC touchdown. And here's Vinatieri now to kick it away after the touchdown. This fielded right at the goal line. And able to take it past the 25 and up to the 28-yard line. Now the NFC heading back out. Hall of Famer Randy Moss a part of this offense. And Coach Madden, boy, he always appreciated the ferociousness with which number 84 attacked the football in the air.
As Randy Moss says, just chunk it up there, dog, and I'll go get it.
And, Coach, boy, did he ever go get it. Over 15,000 receiving yards, 156 touchdowns. And how about this? From his rookie year of 1998 until 2009, those were his prime seasons, right? He led the league in touchdowns 5 times, but even more so, he showed us all how to go up and get it. Great body control. No one's ever done it better playing the ball in the air.
He'll be hit down at the 33, 5 yards on the play. As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you talk about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the All-Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch man. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique. and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
And that one off the mark, a little late with a throw. And the NFC punt team out there now. And surprisingly, this is the first punt of the game for either team. This is brought in at the 21. 8 yards on the return following a punt of 41. And the AFC will take over 1st and 10. The offense for the AFC set to go now. Right now clinging to a 1-score lead, Charles, and I think operating within that 4-minute offense with a little less than 4 minutes to go applies here, right?
It certainly does, and that means the playbook is still wide open. But you are a little bit more careful about what you're calling. You want plays that are going to gain yardage, how would you say it, consistently, right? You don't need the big shots downfield, but make sure the clock continues to run. Pile up the first downs. And the goal, end the game with your quarterback kneeling down at the end, and you still have the lead.
Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told him, call me when it's 11-on-11. And he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden the video game continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way. And John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies. Line of scrimmage, the 37 on 1st and 10. Throwing is far. Over the middle, that's hauled in by Cup. A good gain of 9 before he's brought down at the 28. So, CD, you look at the accumulation of John Madden's achievements in the world of football, the coaching success, the Super Bowl title, the incredible career as a broadcaster with 12 Emmy Awards, Madden the video game. It was very fitting back in 2006 that John Madden got the call to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A more deserving person you will not find. He gave an incredible speech on that day, Brandon. So many of his former Raider players were in attendance. He talked about how he envisioned that when the last person turns off the lights in the hall every night, that the bus talk football amongst themselves. And what a discussion that might be.
Yeah, he finished his speech by saying, today feels like the second time in my life that I'm being carried off on the shoulders of others. Yet instead of off the field, it's into the Hall of Fame. This has been the sweetest ride of them all. To the end zone, but it's incomplete.
Partner, they've got one chance left to keep this one going, and I think for you and me, let's think along with their offensive coordinator now has to think back, cycle through every play of this contest, and remember what's worked and what hasn't. Because right here, he needs the best play of the game in order to keep this one alive.
And he'll be taken down at the 2-yard line. They'll look to throw, and it's caught. It's a touchdown. So they rally here in the final minute, and they're an extra point away from tying this game. Don't forget the extra point. It's up and good. And, partner, we've got a tie game here in the 4th. All level now at 10 apiece as the kick's away. Dante Hall going to bring it out of the end zone. And he's up past the 20 to the 22-yard line. Now the AFC going to use the first of their timeouts as they get it with under a minute to go now in the football game. Now Brady. Incomplete, but a penalty flag is down in the backfield. Let's get the call. So they were looking to throw, holding on the big right tackle.
That's real simple, partner. Keep your hands inside in the chest area. you're probably okay. You get it out on the shoulders, get them wide, usually going to pick up a holding call.
They take a shot downfield there, but it winds up falling incomplete. So they'll come up after the incompletion for second down. Back to throw, Brady. Connecting with Hill, and he gets this one just shy of the 35 to the 34. 22 yards there, a first down.
And this is obviously a spot where you lean on your stars. Get the ball to them in open space and let them do what they do.
From the 34 now, here's first and 10. Brady to throw. He'll get it once more into the hands of Hill. And they've got it well across midfield down to the 40 before it's all said and done. A good pickup there, 26 yards. To throw is Brady. And that's incomplete. Clock stops with 10 seconds left.
My first thought is surprise because that's one of the better tight ends around, and I've seen him pull in balls like this before. But how about a little credit to the defense forcing that incompletion?
To throw again on second down, Brady. And that is incomplete. And now with 6 seconds remaining, they're going to burn their final timeout. That would have been a tough catch, but in this 2-minute drill, those are the ones you really hope your guys come up with.
Yeah, you don't want your guy to be able to take the out because it was a tough catch. You needed him to come up with that one because if he does, it alters the perspective of this 2-minute drill, doesn't it?
So now with 6 seconds remaining, we get a timeout on the field. This offense was on the move. Now 2 straight incompletions have them looking at 3rd and 10. On play action, now Brady. Looking downfield for Kelsey. And that will be incomplete. Well, they weren't scared to let it fly, but it falls to the ground and brings up 4th down. So it comes down to a man who has done this many, many times before, Adam Vinatieri. Now the NFC going to take a timeout, their second. And as the two teams talk it over on their respective sidelines, we take a break. And now this game's going to come down to the right leg of their kicker. This from long, very long range. And that one's not going to get there. Not enough juice, an ambitious effort, but it's well short. And that changes everything here in OT. And here in overtime, if the team that receives the ball scores a touchdown, it's over. If they don't, we can still have some more football.
That's exactly right. If they go down and kick a field goal, the other team gets a possession to either match it or score a touchdown to win the ball game. If both teams kick field goals, the next team to score wins. But if the receiving team throws a pick six or fumbles the ball and it gets picked up by the defense and they score, the game is over at that point.
And ultimately cannot get this out to the 25-yard line as he's dropped at the 23. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. And everyone knows the OT rules, Charles, but pretty simple formula. They go down and get a field goal, we continue play, but if they can find the end zone on this possession, ball game over.
And as meticulously as all teams plan for a game,
And he is in for the score! And it is absolute stunned silence here as they win it on the road in overtime. Well, you never know what you're going to expect when you come to the stadium to call a game. Sometimes you get good ones. Sometimes you get bad ones. Sometimes you get great ones. And that's what we had here. What an exciting finish on that last big play.
And I think that as we look at it, when you're talking about a great finish, which went along with a game that obviously was dramatic because we did get into overtime, what type of play calls do you have left? What have you not shown? Or what have you made an adjustment to what you've worked out all the way through? It's going to give you the play we saw to win the game. Because I know everyone's thinking that was something that they just drew up. It might have been something they'd been working on, and now they got the right matchup.
Here comes Hall. He's going to bring it out. And he returns this to the 22. The AFC offense set to take their next drive. Now a first throw here in overtime. High throw, but the catch is made. And they're going to get this beyond the 40 before he's taken down. A good pickup there, 21 yards.
Certainly no settling into the drive there. They came right out on the first play and attacked the middle of the field for a big gainer and a first down.
Play action, now it's Brady. Oh, a leap, and he will make the catch. And he'll go down, but not before getting this inside the 30. Last play, they went over 20 yards. This time, they topped 30. So now then, the big play has them all the way inside the 30 now, 1st and 10. Now Brady. And that is nearly intercepted. Oh, that would have changed things here in overtime, but instead, it's just 2nd down. They fake the handoff. Now Brady. And he'll be hit as he releases it, and that'll fall incomplete. So another incompletion there. He's hitting on fewer than half his pass attempts in this one, and that is not a winning formula.
Yeah, so let's make sure we give a little bit of credit to the defense here. They've given him a lot to think about, a lot of different looks, and he seems a little bit confused trying to complete passes.
And he knocks the ball away, and it falls incomplete. Brady going to go on 4th down. And it's incomplete. They cannot convert, and they turn it over. So a thrilling finish here in overtime to a game that no one wanted to see end. And for all of us at EA Sports, one final look back as we say, this one's for you, Coach.
I just say this, I thank you all very much. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.